Good day, dear friends. Welcome. This is the Tuesday, strike that, the Thursday version of this thing of ours, our chance to speak regarding what is going on. I want to thank you so much for being with us. We will be with you for approximately 1 hour, as we do every morning at 8 a.m. and 7 p.m., with some variations now and then. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you hit that button, the indicator, so that you will know when we are live and when we are hot, as we say. I want to say to you again, thank you so much for joining us. Let me also say before we begin, it is 188 days until the election. 188 days. And while today we are going to be talking about what is happening, there are about 50,000 different moving parts. Last night we had a fascinating discussion. And my focus is simply this. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what everybody thinks collectively. How is this going to affect the election? How are the media covering it? What is the perspective of people in the United States? And do you think that Americans who have no idea of even geography can truly differentiate between Palestine and Israel, can describe in any degree of limpidity the doctrines of, or the theories or the practices of Zionism, the Nakba, the 75 years, 1917, the Balfour Declaration? And do you think Americans, if you want to see the level of cluelessness, you must try to stomach as much of the Fox News version, which is identical to the CNN version, but they call it differently. But it's identically the same thing. It is 100% against not just protesters, but this conflation of Palestine, Palestinian issues, and Hamas. It's one collective, don't know what the word is, one collective gumbo. They throw in these terms: Palestinian, Hamas, Gaza, West Bank, just mix it up, and then you can't tell what flavor has blended into what other flavor. And last time we had a wonderful, fascinating discussion, and one of you great folks were saying, but we have to talk about Zionism. I'm saying Zionism has nothing to do with this. To the Americans don't know what this word even means. They think it has something to do with Judaism or Jews or Israel or something, but you're talking at levels no one can understand and grasp. And I'm also finding that I am listening to what's happening to the First Amendment, and I'm finding myself now agreeing with Jerry Nadler, Michael Moore, Amy Goodman. I mean, what is happening here? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Get ready. I've got stuff for you to think about and to watch, always comparing. Remember, I'm not interested in the truth. I'm interested in the perception of the truth, what people think, how people are reacting, what the trends are, what politics are, and how all of this will congeal and coalesce. But first, before we begin, a word from this important and critical sponsor. It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. And while you still have control, still have time, what are you going to do about it now to prepare? Your first step is going to my website at preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. Your next step is stocking up on multiple 4-week emergency food kits from My Patriot Supply. And for a limited time, take $50 off a 4-week emergency food supply. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already. These 4-week kits with ready hour foods provide over 2,000 calories every day, 16 varieties, 25-year shelf life, breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks, drinks, and they're sealed inside 2 31-pound rugged waterproof buckets, and they last up to 25 years in storage. Take advantage right now, my friend, and go to preparewithlionel.com. That's preparewithlionel.com. Okay, let's get ready, shall we? Let's look at a few things that are happening and what's important, what is really, really, really scary stuff. First, let us look at what was in no particular order. And I'm always interested to find out from you your take. When I show you this, because I think you are most astute and most, obviously, we have a lot that we agree with fundamentally. But I want to show you some some things and ask yourself, what is it that you feel about this? What is your reaction? Because that tells me everything. This is what many of us are hearing and seeing online and the like. And this is what we must go through. We'll get to that one in a moment. This is, let me just show you this. Just let me get this one out of the way. Just to show you what's going on with all that is happening. Donald Trump would be all over this. Any other politician would say, I'm going to own this story. But this was a fellow whose name, Jason Lee, or somebody who was speaking to the president. And let me just show you this. This is important to note. This is the guy in charge. This is the leader of the free world, as we say. The guy with a nuclear code. Watch Biden. Watch what he says. Watch what he doesn't say. Just watch this.
Black-owned media outlets. I speak with over 6 million people every day. We've been trying to catch up with you, and I've had talks with the vice president.
Not a word.
Whenever you're out there, we want to talk to you because I feel like I don't know. I got your back.
I got your back. Look at this.
Biden, get you to pull up.
See ya. I don't even if that. I mean, seriously. How do you explain that? You can't. Because secretly, he wants out of this so much. He wants out of this so he's done. Now, in the meantime, let's also look at a couple of things here. First and foremost, let's look at this. This was one of the most frightening statements that was made. And I want to bring this to your attention. I want you to listen carefully.
Students.
This is a woman. This is was it Rebecca Weiner? She was in charge of, how do I say this? Let me see. I got my notes here. She was, yes, this is Rebecca Weiner. She's in charge of counterterrorism for it's interesting, counterterrorism for the NYPD. And this really scares me. Listen to what she's saying and see if you can pick up about why you should be frightened, okay? This is her briefing.
This is not about students expressing ideas. It is about a change in tactics that presents a concern. And
let me stop right now. No, this is about students expressing ideas. This absolutely is. However, it's not just students who are expressing ideas, but my favorite term today, outside agitators. What about the inside agitator? What is an agitator? An agent provocateur. Okay? But let me stop right there, Ms. Weiner. This is about ideas. This is about there are people there who are absolutely, positively committed to the idea, to the notion of either free Palestine or words to that effect. Just because there are other folks there doesn't mean that the whole effort has been contaminated. Just because there were some FBI agents in Washington on January 6th does not mean that the entire effort was for naught. So please, let's be very careful with that.
Change in tactics that presents a concern, and a normalization and mainstreaming of rhetoric. And I'm not just talking about
A normalization of rhetoric. You hear what this is just, wait a minute. Hold it. Now, I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, Wiener, is she pro-Israeli? Okay. And because I know that's coming. I know what people are going to say. But this frightens me.
language. I'm now talking about tactics, and that's what shifted our response yesterday. But a normalization and mainstreaming of rhetoric associated.
See, now it's rhetoric. She uses the term tactics and rhetoric. I don't like that. Don't blend them. I don't think she's some subversive for the Stasi, but this should scare you.
With terrorism that has now become pretty common on college campuses.
Now, let me stop right there. This is really, I don't like any of this. Listen to this.
Common on college. Our response yesterday.
Here we go.
But a normalization and mainstreaming of rhetoric associated with terrorism.
Associated with terrorism is the PLO. Excuse me, PLO is the PLO. See, let me stop right now. This is the problem. This is what's happening. We're throwing in terms Hamas, Gaza, Palestinian, West Bank, sometimes Palestinian Authority. And it's in this, terrorism, Hamas. Does Israel have the right to defend itself? Of course. Is Hamas a terrorist organization? By definition, absolutely. Was October the 7th a terrorist attack? Yes. Dump that in. Mix it up. Now, tell me what this is about. Can't. Because one blends into the other. One blends into the other. And we are going to lose our First Amendment rights.
That has now become pretty common on college campuses, right? You see people wearing headbands associated with foreign terrorist organizations.
Headbands. Now, what is a headband? Are you talking about a keffiyeh? Is that it? A headband? Be very careful with this. I haven't heard. Maybe there are headbands. I haven't seen them.
This happened in October when you had a viral TikTok reissuing of Osama bin Laden's 2002 letter to America.
Do you remember what that was? I'm not going to relitigate that. Do you remember what this quote, Osama bin Laden, and we're not going to get into 9/11 again. We're not, God forbid, no. But do you remember? Listen to, this is the NYPD. This is Eric Adams. This is, put it this way. Did Laura Ingraham write this?
So that's a larger concern. It's separate from what happened yesterday.
It's separate, but I think you're making them one and the same.
But they're related.
They're related. Check out the feller to the left. He's not saying a word.
We do not want ideas. We do not want campuses, which are where people.
We do not want ideas. Did you hear this? Is anybody freaking out yet?
People are supposed to be learning and
Well, you're supposed to be learning, but not that. You're not supposed to be learning everything. You're not supposed to be learning things that I find problematic and ideas that are troublesome.
being in a conducive environment for all of the things that we do in schools.
All the things that we do in schools. I know. This is not what we do in schools. These ideas, this rhetoric, this is going to be And that headband, I want to know more about this headband. Maybe I missed something.
Being turned into places where people are committing vandalism.
Now that's a different story. I don't care if you commit vandalism because your team won the Big Ten or whatever it is. That's a different story.
Property damage and committing crimes.
Wow. Now, do you get this? Just tell me I'm not wasting my time. Tell me you're not scared shitless when you hear somebody say this. It's like, wait a minute. Hold it. Ideas, thoughts, terrorism, terrorist activity. Who's going to determine, is BLM okay? Oh, no. We didn't say anything about BLM. And I'm going to also ask you a question. And I'm noticing this. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not there. Do you notice an absolute, let me rephrase it, not an absolute. Do you notice almost an absence of African American protesters in this event? Have you noticed this? Have you noticed this? None. Now, when I say none, I'm kind of exaggerating. It's as though somebody, if I didn't know better, sent the word out. This isn't your beef. We got other beef, not this one. Don't waste your money on this one. There's nothing in it for us here. Forget it. Don't worry about it. BLM will let you know. This isn't your beef. Stay away. You get that impression? You get that impression? Look at the police officers. Look at I swear to you, I'm thinking to myself, I know people are going to say, because whenever you mention anything involving race or religion, you're either an anti-Semite or a racist or whatever it is. But I'm looking at the cops, the response teams. They're all white. What's going on here? Wait a minute. There has always been an ecumenical, diverse police force. You can see them on the streets. But when it comes to the emergency groups and the emergency teams and the siege trucks and the white shirted, we'll get to them in a moment, the white shirt officials, this is almost seemingly, ostensibly devoid of or absent the usual participation in a more diverse, shall we say, protest forum and population and the like. Does that make sense to you? Okay, now let me give you some other good ones. You're gonna get a kick out of this. Check this baby out. You ready for this? Check this one out.
The pro-Palestine encampment, they tried to.
Now this is. Let me just stop right now. This is UCLA. Now, what do you have to notice about this? UCLA, California. This is Gavin Newsom territory. Is Gavin Newsom, from all of my inside intel, everybody that I knew was saying this guy is going to move up. They're setting him up. That's why he did the debate with DeSantis, why he met with Xi Jinping. They're going to move him in, move Biden out for some particular reason that nobody will care about. Bring in Gretchen Whitmer, somebody along those lines. But now, UCLA, that's his jurisdiction. And he's not doing a damn thing. Now look at this one. How do you explain this?
Demonstrators inside the pro-Palestine encampment, they tried to remove some of the barricade. We're talking about those wooden boards, those pallets. And
wooden boards, pallets. You see the organizational. Now this is Antifa or Antifa-like, or dare I say groups of, you ever hear of OTPOR, OTPOR? They're viewed as the nonviolent organizational arm. They were big in Occupy Wall Street and the like. There are groups of people all over. You saw it in the Maidan group. They will show you how to have a chant, how to mobilize, what you need. You might want to have motorcycle helmets, all wear black, wear frosted glass, bring umbrellas, bring pallets, bring wood, bring frozen bottles of water. Because when you throw a frozen bottle of water, what happens? It melts. There goes the evidence. So you find a bottle of water on the ground. I think they were throwing cans of soup. They had these things. They had bricks, actual pallets of bricks to be thrown, dropped off. So these folks have been around for the longest time. They're now called outside agitators.
all Well, all heck broke loose. There were fights. People were using bats. We saw people with some serious head injuries, beaten and bloodied, and they were just going at it. And no police were in sight. There was.
Now, you can't figure out who's who. Number one, there's an organic group of people who love to strike whenever there's any kind of breakdown in order. You will see this. It's just like sometimes looting. People will start to loot. Auto loot is one of my reflexes. I told you auto mourn. Auto mourn is when somebody in show business dies and you go into this almost this patellar-like reflex of lugubrious funereal sadness to show the world that you are feeling the loss of this person more than anybody else. You are. That's auto mourn. Auto loot is whenever there's a total breakdown of order, people will start stealing. I don't care where it is. Doesn't matter where. Something happens to human beings whenever there's a breakdown in order.
No one. Now, we understand that campus security, campus police may have arrived, but then they quickly retreated.
Sounds like Stonewall. Now, look at these folks here. Do these look like UCLA students? Do these look like people interested in the course of Palestinian justice and freedom? Do these look like individuals who were trying to stand up for the citizens of Gaza who face immediate and certain annihilation through famine and death? Do these people look like they are a part in any way of any Free Palestine movement?
UCLA then requesting that LAPD come in, but that was after the fact,
Who are these people? We can't even figure out who's kicking whom. We don't even understand how this works. We're now, compared to New York disorder, very simple. Students, police, students, they don't really attack each other.
Fight. Now, we heard from some students, both Palestinian.
Look at the spraying. You see that? Remember that fellow years ago, that dude at UC Davis? Remember he walked up and down just spraying people like crop dusting. Remember that? And they did memes of him spraying. It was when I first became aware of the power of memetics and the like. By the way, this is you don't need bear spray with this, baby. This will clear a crowd. Trust me. Okay. Trust me. In any event, who are these people and why are they there?
And Israeli students telling us they came in peace, but the truth is there was a lot of violence.
Where do you think that's coming from? Now, let's also look a little bit more, shall we say? This is some of the additional mayhem. This is UCLA. This is let me see. This is Royce Hall let's go back it. Look at how horrible this is. Royce Hall, Free Palestine. Look at the organization of this. Wait till you see it. Tell me, we love you. Free Gaza. What is the purpose of it? Now you'll start seeing the profane references to Nazis, IDF. Tell me how that makes any difference. Now, let's compare that. That's California. Let's compare that with how New York handles this. Now, you might, by the way, this might seem problematic to you. You might think of this as being, dare I say, triggering. I hope it's not. So watch this.
Let's go.
Now, a couple of things here. The white shirts I don't know where you are, but in New York, white shirts, gold shields, these are officers. These are commissioners, assistant commissioners, lieutenant commanders, field marshals, whatever they're called. These are the officer crew. And whenever there's a problem in New York, these guys go front and center. They're in the front line, not like usual, not like in the back. They're front and center. Now watch this one feller who really says, I've had enough.
Back up. Let's go. Counter.
Now they're saying back up. Now here's the question. Notice the keffiyeh. Notice the keffiyeh, who's also as a headdress and as a scarf. And I wonder if this was a headband that the counterterrorism director spoke of. But now so far, you are being ordered by the police to back up. Back up does not even mean disperse. It means back up.
Back up. Back up.
Now, you see this big guy here? Look at him on the right. This guy looks like he's been around. He's retiring. Remember, normally retirement is around the corner. And normally you don't want to do anything in your power to do anything within the last days of your short time to perhaps affect your smooth and immediate transition into the civilian world, unless you're dedicated to law and order. Watch this feller.
Back up. Back.
Now he's telling her, back up. How many times has he said, back up, back up? But no. In fact, for some reason or another, and cops will tell you this, the biggest problem in the world today are women. Let me rephrase this. Women who taunt, engage. Men tend to be, not always, but I don't know where we've got this new brand of recalcitrance among the distaff sect that doesn't seem to follow anything even remotely looking like order. He says, I've had enough of it. I've had enough. You take your clothes and get rid of it. Process it. I've had enough of it. This is New York. If you don't engage with the police, you're just fine.
What's your name? Your name?
I love that. What's your name? Another one too you can find, by the way, whenever you watch any of the new videos, people always say, I want to talk to your commander. I want to talk to your superior. I don't know where this one comes from, but people think that you can demand that somehow when you're talking to a police officer, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to your lieutenant. I am a lieutenant. I want to talk to your captain. I want to talk. No, it doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. Beauty Blast says these are individuals with a Middle Eastern ideology. I don't know what that means, but Middle Eastern would be, I guess, Israeli and Palestinian and again, an ideology. I don't know what that means, but thank you for that. Thank you for that. We're going to take one little interruption right now, and I want to return, and I want you to listen to this. This is my favorite. This is how the rest of the world sees things absolutely different than the way we do. But first, this word from our great sponsor. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0. My Pillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever. Sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965 and watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. mypillow.com, simply and absolutely the best. And that is indeed true. Edie Crowley says, meanwhile, children die in rubble. Do they care? Edie, that is the position I've been saying. That would be the only pictures I would have, the only post. That would be what I would be trying to stop. Not trying to redefine Zionism or redefine, try to reverse the Nakba. No, that's for other people to concern. My concern, very simply, to stop the horrors that affect and that befall children today. Now, listen to this, dear friends. This is a fellow, and I want you to hear
Israel.
This is a fellow from LBC, leading Britain's conversation or something, and I'm just curious, and I want to ask you seriously whether you think what he is saying is happening here. Oh, before I forget, by the way, my friends, our JT Brown says Yuri Bezmenov was 100% correct. This is subversion, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the usual suspects behind it. Well, yeah, it is. I think, but JT, and thank you for that. You don't need organized subversion. These folks will come out. If you leave a piece of bread out, it's going to get moldy. If you leave food out, rats come. I'm sorry to say this, but whenever there's any kind of breakdown, there are people who will some of them will show up spontaneously, others will show up on order. Now, listen to this carefully. This is a fellow who is speaking, and I'm thinking to myself, where would you hear this? Name one non digital platform where you would hear this. Name one. Listen to this carefully.
I think that Israel has lost the support of almost an entire generation of young people.
I don't. Maybe in the world, not in this country. And why? Young people don't care about this. Young people aren't even paying attention to this. Most people do not care at all about this. They look at it and say, okay, can we see more of the riot film? Look at those stupid kids. Maybe. There are young people who are here protesting. I recognize that. But they represent a de minimis portion of the entire young people's population.
And when you consider that this current episode began with the atrocity of October the 7th in Israel by Hamas, the reversal is absolutely extraordinary.
Do you believe there's a reversal? Do you believe what he is suggesting? I submit to you, dear friend, that the anti-Hamas sentiment has doubled down. If anything, this, because remember, you have to think like an American. Don't think like you. They're looking at this and saying, these troublemakers, these are either lunatics, the way they're being portrayed, because remember, and I can't say this enough, and listen carefully, the median voter age is 55 plus, not college educated, okay, who watches and still believes in cable news and that sort of thing. Keep in mind what I'm saying. And what they're seeing is that a bunch of spoiled brats. The woman who said, we need some water here, she's basically protesting for people dying and starving and disintegrating in Gaza. And she's complaining because of, did you see UCLA? They want non-gluten food. I mean, if this is true, because if not, it's some of the best counter propaganda anybody's ever seen. But I respectfully submit, Americans don't care anything about this.
The victims of a terror attack 7 months later are not just for this generation, but for others as well. Anybody who was unattached on October the 7th, anybody who was either confused, ambivalent, or objective on October the 7th, if you had said to them that 7 months later Israel would be in a pariah state, effectively,
absolutely not.
They would not have believed you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You may think that. You might think that. That may be the case in Great Britain, in the UK, and the rest of the world. Not here. I know Americans, and Americans don't think like that at all. Americans don't care about anything. Nothing. Beastie B says, IL Western democracy, rest of region authority. Western Region Authoritarian. Okay, I'm not really sure what that is, but I think so. See, let me see if we can put this into perspective. And thank you, by the way, for this. Number one, Americans. Let me do this again. This means nothing to Americans. Nothing. Means nothing. This here, nothing. No interest. This is America right here. See over there? That's us right there. This part, all these colors, nah, whatever. That's number one. Number two, watch Josh Hawley. On my YouTube, whatever this, I get this thing from Laura Ingraham, who, by the way, is the hack's hack. She knows exactly what she's doing, but I got to hold my nose and watch this because it's the most unimaginative, simple, unicellular, tissue-thin veneer of, okay. He said, Americans do not want a bunch of, because the question is, Biden said, and Janine Jean-Pierre is going to say, that they're going to bring a bunch of Palestinians here. Here's my question to you. You ready? What would you rather have? Very simple vote. A Palestinian family here, or a bunch of Venezuelan young men with unattended, unaccompanied young kids. You don't know who they are or where they're from or what they want. Now, that doesn't mean that all people from Venezuela are men or whatever it is. But I'm here in New York, and especially if you want to go to California and look at them, you're seeing waves of folks from the global South pouring over cartel members. And President Trump said, not all of them, but many of them, criminals, rapists, the worst of the worst of the worst. How many fentanyl cartel distributors do you think are going to come from Palestine? So here's my question. If I could say, all right, let's stop. Let's switch. Shut down the border immigration from the South. Bring in from now on Gaza. Who would you feel safer with? Having Palestinians from Gaza or having somebody from the global South, this current crop? Who? Yeah, you gotta answer the question. You gotta answer the question. You can't say neither. Here's the question. Who would you feel? Who would you feel? Who would be, by the way, the most appreciative of being here? Who do you think would be the most appreciative? Who would follow the rules? What do you think the fentanyl cartel participation is in Gaza? What do you think about the unaccompanied child rapists and sex traffickers and the like from Gaza? Now, Josh Hawley says Hamas supporting. Do you hear what's going on here? Do you hear the way he said? He hasn't said a word about anything, but all of a sudden, oh, no. Gaza? No, we're going to put our foot down to that. Where have you been? Where have you been? We've been marauded, absolutely deluged with seas of this humanity from the global South. Nobody said anything. But now, oh, no, Gaza. Because Gaza, Hamas, you see how they work together? Edie Crowley says the lunacy of these Marie Antoinette's protesting people up. By the way, what about Jewish students being bullied? Absolutely. And that is true. That is true. And that's been forgotten too. What do you think would happen? Remember when, you don't remember this, in 2015, I don't know what it was, Mattress Girl. Remember how they let Mattress Girl, this performance artist, walk around with this mattress where she claimed she was raped by Emma Solkowitz and this other fellow? I mean, they look the other way. They don't care at all. If there were black students, BLM, trans students who were harassed, they'd put an end to this. But Jewish students, There is so much hypocrisy going all over the place. But you see what Josh Hawley is trying to do? Hamas and Gaza, the same. Let me ask you a question. This is one that nobody wants to answer. This is red line stuff. If you were in Gaza, what would you think about Hamas? Imagine this. Stop for a second. Stop. You're in Gaza. Unless you just believe this is all just a bad thing. And you had been there since, oh my God, because people think that this happened. They think everything started October the 7th. What would you think about Hamas if you were in Gaza? What would you think? What would you think? Would you welcome Hamas? Would you say October the 7th changed things? Would you say, hey, they're talking about us for the first time? What would you think? What would you think if you were? Because remember, always put yourself in the position of the way Israelis think, the way Palestinians think, the way the world thinks. But what would you think if you were in Gaza? What would you think about Hamas? What do you think? What do you think? Remember when they asked Nelson Mandela, that famous incident. By the way, I've got a Zoom coming up, so if I got to cut and run, don't take it the wrong way, okay? Anyway, what would you anyway? So they asked Mandela. They said, "Why do you take support from Mao and the Chinese, or the Chinese rather, and Castro and Venezuela and these communists?" He says, why? Because they're the only ones who stood up for my country. They're the only ones who supported us. They were the only ones not trying to kill us. That's why. You got a problem with that? So how do you think, what do you think Gazans believe or think about October the 7th? What do you think they think about Hamas? What do you think? What would you think? And I know people who, they can't answer the question. They can't. You mean to tell me for the first time, all of a sudden, for the first time, you've got Donald Trump on the phone telling Bibi, you screwed up. You've got people now talking about cutting off aid because you can't cut off aid to Ukraine and not do anyway. Everything changed. Everything up until now. I'm not advocating it. That was a terrorist attack. That was horrible. I'm asking you what happened. It's like me asking what happened after Pearl Harbor? What happened before Pearl Harbor? What if there wasn't a Pearl Harbor? What happened if we didn't drop a bomb? How does this work? See, Americans have no idea. They can't look at things strategically. They can't look at things tactically. They have no idea. It's good and bad. Look at the people who say, hey, January 6th, those people were just standing there. Okay. What about the people just standing there in college campuses? Wow, that's different. Why was that different? You think everybody there is Antifa? And don't give me this bullshit, Ms. Weiner, counterterrorism, that you don't know who these outside antagonists are. Because any other organization, any other group of people, any other serious law enforcement would bring these people in, arrest them, bring them before a grand jury, investigate them and say, give me who's in charge. Give me your superstructure. Who's in charge? Is it Soros? Is it Antifa? Is it some radicalized version of Atpor? Who are these people? Do you see what we're doing? All we're doing is we're just watching TV and we're not even asking any questions. Edie Crowley says, BBN embraced the chance to snap. Thank you, Edie. Bibi at the time is trying to fight his own indictment, his own. There are people there who are we following this? There's too many moving parts for Americans. Too many moving parts. Too many. But by the way, you've been sitting back and the quote Israeli, if there is a contingent, have said, you know what? Back off. Continue this. African Americans, back off. This is your fight. And who do we have? When you look at what's happening right now, I told you last time we went to a wake for our friend, our priest friend. And next to the church is Fordham University. Nobody looks at these people in this country and says, you know, they got a point. No, they've got these people spoil kids, commandeering. Americans hate protest. Now, the Fordham University put out a student that said this has nothing to do with Jews or whatever it is. But let me explain something to you. Americans don't know anything about history. They don't know anything about anything. And they look at all these kids as a bunch of spoiled brats, and they love to see the police come in and clobber them. This has been since the beginning of time. Do you know that when we saw the 1968 Chicago Convention, remember that, when kids were being bludgeoned by the police? Do you know that still the left thought, look at this. This is going to change everything. When Mayor Daley was being called as some kind of, Hitlerian thug, other people looked at it and loved seeing people getting clobbered. We love violence. We love to see it. It's a movie to us. It's a war game. It's a Call of Duty or whatever the hell it is. What the hell is it called? Call of Duty. Whatever. Americans don't understand. You got to take everything you're thinking about and just sit back and look at it like a child would, because Americans don't get this. But the bottom line is simply this: you're handing re-election to President Trump, because Americans are looking at this and saying, "Well, nobody's in charge here. Vote for Trump." George William, I don't care about agents provocateurs. I don't care about outside instigators. I don't care about this. We're going to hand it to Trump. You got it? Raul Rodriguez says, invite Palestinians to America to become citizens. I guarantee you, my question is simply this. Compared to what we are doing right now, most people would say Palestinians in Gaza, families versus, I don't know about you, but I'm looking around here and I see a lot of people walking around with a look of menace like you can't believe. I'm thinking, I don't know who they are or where they're from, but I would switch them with any family. Emphasis on the word family. All right, friends, got to run. Got to do a Zoom coming up. Thank you so much. You are the best. Beastie Blast, thank you. Raul, Edie Crowley, you were terrific. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Have a great and a glorious day. Don't forget, follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors, okay, on YouTube. And until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da, da.